Welcome to my channel, Silent Stories, where every story whispers a truth that touches the heart. Today's story begins in a small-town diner where kindness cost nothing, but meant everything. It was one of those quiet Tuesday mornings, where the world moved a little slower, the kind of morning when coffee steam danced. In the sunlight and the smell of pancakes filled the air. Maggie, a 26-year-old waitress, had been working the morning shift since 5 a.m. Her hair was tied up, her apron wrinkled, and her shoes scuffed from too many long shifts. But she smiled anyway. Because that's what Maggie did. She smiled through everything. Rent was due. Her mother's hospital bills were piling up. And she still hadn't bought the shoes her son Tyler needed for school. But no one at the diner knew that. To them, Maggie was just the nice girl with the kind eyes who refilled your coffee before you even asked. The bell above the diner door jingled softly, cutting through the low hum of chatter and clinking dishes. Heads turned, and in walked a man who didn't quite fit in with the cozy pastel-colored diner. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black leather jacket dusted with road grit. His boots were heavy, his beard thick, and a small scar ran across his cheek. His presence was quiet, but commanding. He walked up to the counter, his boots echoing against the tiled floor. Maggie offered a polite smile, trying not to show the slight nervousness in her eyes. "Morning," she said. "What can I get you?" The man's voice was deep, calm. "Just coffee, black," she nodded. "Coming right up." As she poured his cup, the other customers began to whisper. "That guy looks dangerous," an older woman muttered. "Probably one of those biker gang types," another whispered. Maggie ignored them. She'd learned not to judge people by what they looked like. She just smiled and set the cup down gently in front of him. "Here you go," she said. The biker looked at her for a moment, his eyes soft, tired. "Thank you." Maggie noticed his hands, scarred, rough. There was a faded tattoo of a cross and a name, Emma. He sat quietly, staring at his coffee, lost somewhere in his thoughts. After a few minutes, Maggie noticed something strange. He hadn't touched his coffee, just stared at it. "Is it okay?" she asked softly. He looked up, surprised by her concern. "Yeah, I just haven't been here in a while." "Oh, you used to come here?" He nodded. "Long time ago. My wife and I used to stop here every Sunday after our rides." Maggie smiled gently. "That's sweet. She must have loved it here." His eyes darkened. "She did." He took a slow breath. "She passed 3 years ago." The words hung heavy in the air. Maggie felt her chest tighten. "I'm sorry," he nodded, still looking at his coffee. "You remind me of her. She used to smile like that, even when life was hard." Maggie swallowed back tears. "Well, I guess smiles are free. Might as well share them." He looked up again, and for the first time, he smiled. Just a small one, but real. A moment later, Maggie's manager, Rick, came out of the kitchen. A big man with a small heart. He took one look at the biker and frowned. "Hey, Maggie," he said in a low voice. "You don't serve his kind here." Maggie blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Look at him. He's one of those biker punks. Probably won't even pay." "Tell him to leave." Maggie felt anger rise in her chest. "Rick, he's a customer. He ordered coffee. He's not bothering anyone." Rick scowled. "You want to keep your job? Then do what I said." The diner went quiet. Everyone was watching now. Maggie turned to the biker, her hands trembling. "I'm sorry, sir." But before she could finish, the biker stood up slowly, placed a $100 bill on the counter, and said quietly, "No worries, miss. I've been kicked out of better places." He turned to leave. Maggie's heart pounded. It wasn't fair. She ran after him. "Sir, wait." He stopped at the door. She held out his change. "Please take this. You overpaid." He smiled faintly. "Keep it for the coffee." And the smile. Then he left. Rick stormed up behind her. "You're fired." Her heart dropped. "What?" "I told you not to serve him. Pack your stuff." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't argue. She just nodded, grabbed her apron, and left the diner, heartbroken. The next morning, Maggie woke up to her phone buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, messages, dozens of notifications. Her friend Jenna called, shouting, "Maggie! Turn on the news." Confused, she flipped on her old TV. There, on the local news, was the same biker, standing in front of the diner. Cameras everywhere. The reporter's voice was saying, Yesterday, a local waitress was fired for serving a man who was unfairly judged for his appearance. That man, identified as retired Army veteran Daniel "Danny" Cross, has just donated $10,000 to the same waitress. As a thank you for her kindness, Maggie's hand flew to her mouth. What? The camera showed Danny smiling softly as he said, I didn't tip her 10 grand for the coffee. I tipped her for the courage to treat someone like a person when no one else would. 2 hours later, Maggie heard a knock on her door. When she opened it, Danny was standing there, holding a small envelope. Morning, Miss Maggie. She blinked, speechless. How did you? He smiled. Small town. News travels fast. She laughed through her tears. You didn't have to do that. I can't take your money. Danny shook his head. It's not money. It's a thank you. He handed her the envelope. Inside was a note and a business card for a veterans foundation. The note read, For every smile that costs you something, the world owes you back twice as much. Danny Maggie looked up, eyes shining. You really are something, aren't you? Danny smiled. Just a guy who finally met someone who reminded him what kindness looks like. By the end of that week, the story had gone viral. News channels, blogs, social media. Everyone was talking about the waitress who served the biker. People started showing up at the diner just to ask for Maggie. Rick, the manager, had no choice but to call her. Maggie, listen. I made a mistake. Can you come back? Maggie paused. You fired me for being kind. Why would I come back? He sighed. Because everyone wants you. The place isn't the same without you. She smiled sadly. I'm opening my own cafe, Rick. Danny helped me get started. And she did. 3 months later, a small cafe opened just down the road. The sign above the door read, Emma's Place, named after Danny's late wife. Inside, on the wall, hung a framed dollar bill, not for its value, but its meaning. Below it was a quote, Kindness doesn't need permission. One afternoon, Danny sat in his usual corner, drinking his coffee. Maggie walked over with a smile. Coffee's on the house today, Danny chuckled. You'll go broke if you keep saying that, she winked. Some things are worth more than money. He looked around the cafe. The laughter, the warmth, the smell of coffee and cinnamon. I think Emma would have liked this place, he said softly. Maggie smiled. I think she's here every day. Danny smiled, eyes glistening. Yeah, I think so too. In a world where people rush to judge, one act of kindness can stop time and heal more than one heart. Maggie didn't serve a biker that day. She served humanity. Thank you for watching this story on Silent Stories. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe, because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness make the loudest stories.